So today we're going to be looking at place value. We're going to be doing 5.NBT.1, and there's some stuff that we want to kind of remember as background, and then there's some things that we're going to add to our background of knowledge. So today, besides this paper here, we're also going to need our place value chart. So you're going to want to get this, and you're going to need a whiteboard marker and your eraser to help you out. So I want to kind of go over some background knowledge. We know that once we get 10 ones, we regroup them over here, and then we get our 10, right? It goes over into this spot. And if I get 10 tens, then I regroup that over here and we turn it into the hundreds. And once I get 10 of these hundreds, then it goes over here and it becomes my thousands, and that just keeps going. There's a pattern here. And every time we're doing that, it's going up 10 times. We're multiplying it by 10. So if I were to put, let's say for example, if I were to put the digit 4 here, it has a value of 4. But if I put a 4 here, it is 10 times bigger than this 4. It has a value of 40. If I put a 4 in this spot, it's 10 times bigger than this 40. It's 400. But it's also 100 times bigger than this 4. So if we're just going one spot over, then it's 10 times bigger. If we go 2 spots over, then it is 100 times bigger. And if we were to go all the way to the end, or all the way to the thousands place, we were to go 3 spots, that would be 1,000 times bigger. But it also works in the opposite. So as I go this way on my place value chart, I am multiplying by 10. If we're going the other way, because our numbers are getting bigger, right? As we move from the right to the left, our numbers get bigger. But what if we go the other way? If we go the other way, our numbers are actually going to be getting smaller. And so instead of multiplying by 10, if we go the other way, so if I go this way, I divide by 10. And if I do this way, I divide by 10 every time I go. And you can see that with the smaller numbers. So if I were to look at this 400, if I divide 400 by 10, I get 40. If I take 40 and divide it by 10, I get 4. But for the purposes of what we're doing, we're not going to say we're dividing by 10. We're going to say that we're multiplying by 1/10, which is the same thing. Fractions are division. So if we multiply it by 1/10, that's the same as saying divide by 10. And again, the more spaces I go, I can change that. So if I go, let me erase. If I go 2 spots over, so 1 spot over, we would be multiplying by 1/10. But if I go 2 spots, I would say I'm multiplying it by 100th. And if I go 3 spots, it would be 1,000th. Okay? So instead of saying dividing by 10, dividing by 100, dividing by 1,000, we're still going to say how many times bigger, how many times smaller it is. Okay? So we're going to keep that in mind. We're going to need that information for our what we're doing today. Okay, so keeping this in mind, let's take a look at this. If we take a look, the directions here are asking us what is the value of the 8. So the 8 saying, what's my value? So each one of these numbers has an 8 in it, and that 8 is in different place value spots. So the value of that 8 is different depending on what place value spot it is in. So this 8 here is in our tens place, so it has a value of 80. This 8 is in the thousands place, and I can easily see that because I see my comma separating the period. So this is my thousands place. It is 8,000. This 8, this would be my thousands, 10,000s. It's 80,000. This 8, oh, it's in the first place value spot right there. That's my ones, so that's 8. And then this 8, we have thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, so that is 8 100,000. That's its value. Okay, now we're going to look at comparing the values of different numbers, and that can get a little bit tricky. So they want us to compare the 8 in these two numbers. So I have the same digit 8, but it's in two different places on our place value chart. So we're going to start by writing a taking a look at where it goes on our place value chart. So I'm going to erase this. I'm going to leave this up here to help me remember. Oh, and if I go the other way, when we get smaller, we say times 1/10. So tenths, hundredths, thousands, and when we go this way, we're multiplying by whole numbers. Okay, so let me write down those two numbers. So we have 4,128,361. There's my 8 that I was looking at. And then my second number is 19,681. And there's my 8. Okay. So let's take a look at our 8s. This 8 is 8,000. My second 8 is going to be worth 80. So we want to see how far away are they apart from each other. 1, 2. So 1 is 10 and 2 is 100. So if we're going to compare them going this way, right, the smaller one, the bigger and the smaller one, we would say that this one is 100 times bigger. If we go the other way, we would have 2 going this way, then we would say 100th times the value. And we can see that if I take 80, and if I were to multiply that by 100, I would have my initial 80, and I would add 2 zeros, 8,000. So we can see how that works. And then if I were to divide 8,000 by 100, we haven't done these. Really what we're doing is taking off those zeros, and that's how we get that 80. So we're going to use a sentence frame to help us to do this, okay? So let's write down our sentence frame. And our sentence frame is going to be in this case it's going to be 8, the blank in blank. So the 8 in one number is blank times, how many times? 100, 10, 1,000, 1/10, 1,000 times the value of the blank. In this case, we'll have 8 in our second number. Okay. Well, it depends on which number we write first, okay? So I'm going to start, I'm going to fill it in with a different color. So let's do the 8 and I'll start with the first number here. 4,128,361. And we're comparing it to the 8 in 19,681. And this is where I'm going to go back to my whiteboard. And we said, because 8,000 is bigger than 80, we're going to say that it's 100 times. So 8,000 is greater than 80, so we're going to have a whole number 100 times. Now, we could have written it the other way. It's kind of like saying, I can say Sam is taller than John, but I could reverse it and say John is smaller than Sam. So there's two different ways to write it. So I'm going to write the other one in a different color just so you can see there's more than one way to do this. So if I had the 8 in, and I'm going to write my small number here, 19,681, and put the 8 here and have our 4,128,361 here. And in this case, we have 80 is less than 8,000. And because it's less than, that's when we're going to have that fraction. So I would say it is 100th times, because really we would be dividing it. But our sentence frame says times. It doesn't say is 100 divided, right? It's not 1,000 less, or 100 divided by it. So this is the way that we write it, to say that we're timesing it, okay? So this is how you look at place value of digits and then compare them to the place value of other ones.